Good morning, I'm Mark Lloyd. I'm the director of the University Archives and Records Center at the University of Pennsylvania. Today is Friday, August 1st, and I'm flanked by two gentlemen of the illustrious Wharton School. On your left is Carl Schaefer, Wharton class of 1957, and on your right is Paul Schur, Wharton class of 1962. Paul is the chairman of the Wharton School's Then and Now Committee, and he has a few words to say.
Essentially what we're trying to do today is to give a little tour of the campus as it is now for those members of the Emeritus classes who may not have seen the campus recently, and to notice the transformation that has taken place since our years way back then and today. And the transformation is nothing short of amazing. The campus is incredible, and after hopefully watching the video, you'll be inspired to visit Penn and Wharton.
Behind me is Logan Hall, where the Wharton School was ensconced from 1906 until 1952, when Dietrich Hall was opened. And so we thought we'd start with this shot, just in case some of you remember classes in Logan Hall. It now has a different name. It's called Claudia Cohen Hall. These things come and go. But if any of you remember the Dietrich Library upstairs in Logan Hall, or had any classes in Logan Hall, we thought this would be a good place to start. We've moved now from a view of Logan Hall to a view of Dietrich Hall, where most of you attended classes and remember your years at the Wharton School. Behind me, you can see etched in stone Dietrich Hall, the Wharton School of Finance and Commerce. And so we thought this would be an appropriate place to talk a little bit more about the history of the Wharton School. You can't see it on camera, but we're standing right over the trolley car tunnel that was built between 1950 and 1952 and allowed Penn to become an urban garden, an open campus in the middle of the city. And we know that the Wharton School would not have taken off without this new building and without the arrangement that was made with the city of Philadelphia to put the trolley underground. The Wharton School dates to 1881 and College Hall. It grew rapidly in the 1890s, and for that reason, when the old medical hall became available in 1906, the medical school having moved south of Spruce Street, that was when the Wharton School moved from College Hall into Logan Hall. And as I've said, it was in 1952 that the Wharton School moved here to Dietrich Hall. From 1797 until 1959, the Bachelor of Arts degree was not the most popularly awarded degree at Penn. It lost ground initially to the MD degree. We had the biggest medical school in the country in the 19th century. And then in 1915, the Bachelor of Science in Economics emerged as the degree with the greatest market share at the University of Pennsylvania. Wharton was the school to attend as an undergraduate. It was not the college. The College of Arts and Sciences and the dean over there hate for me to say this, but it's true. You guys had a hammerlock on the best school at Penn. The Wharton School was part of the college until 1913, when it got its own dean and separated administratively from the college of the university. And that is really when the Wharton persona began to emerge. That was the date that everyone began to associate with a new school and a new philosophy of teaching business history. We thought we'd make this detour on our trip around campus to show you the inside of an historic trolley that came along rumbling down Woodland Avenue. And this trolley is a replica of the originals that serviced this area. And it was donated to the university by the class of 1956 in 2006. And it's a must-see if you come back to campus. We're right behind Dietrich Hall. It's a very familiar place to you. Make sure you come and take a look at it. A little earlier, I told you a story about market share of degrees at the University of Pennsylvania, and in particular, the advanced position that the undergraduate Wharton School had between World War I and the late 1950s. Well, I'm standing now in front of Vance Hall, and Vance Hall came about as the result of the growth and popularity of the MBA degree in the 1960s. In particular, the MBA degree surged behind the Bachelor of Arts degree as the second most popular degree at the University of Pennsylvania. So much so that by 1969 it was necessary to plan a separate building for the graduate program of the Wharton School. Some of you may remember that, and in particular some of you may remember the construction of this building, which opened in 1972. I'm standing here by a very popular campus icon, Ben on a bench. It wasn't here when you were undergraduates or graduates at the Wharton School. It came only in 1987, but it has rapidly emerged as the most popular place on the entire campus. Almost no one can come through without stopping and snapping a picture of it and sending it on his cell phone to a far-flung relative somewhere on the continent. And sure enough, it's right in front of Steinberg Dietrich Hall, the Wharton School. What better place for Ben on the bench to be? We're standing now in front of Huntsman Hall. If you were a student at Penn today, this is where all of your classroom activities, all of the teaching and learning would take place. It was constructed and opened in the year 2000 under the presidency of Judith Rodin, and it has become now the most popular building for meeting on campus. It extends an entire block from the former Locust Avenue, now Locust Walk, all the way to Walnut Street. And it is a titan of a building that holds down this end of campus. Huntsman Hall was built in the year 2000 under the presidency of Judith Rodin, and this building has evolved since that time as the most popular meeting place on campus. We're here where we ought to be, right at the center of campus. And behind me is the Steinberg Dietrich building, and we're at the access point between 36th and 37th Street. Saul Steinberg gave a very large sum of money to the Wharton School in 1979, and the Steinberg Hall was built on the face of Dietrich Hall, so that you have to step inside the doors in order to see the facade of the former Dietrich Hall. Saul Steinberg was a great patron of the Wharton School, and his building was finished in 1983. This is now used for administrative purposes and for some teaching purposes, but as I said before, Huntsman Hall is the primary place for teaching and learning.